Hi everyone, welcome to episode 150 of the Army Think Tank podcast. I am Jan.
Jess.
How are we doing this week? Still tired?
Yeah. That constant will never change.
For both of us, to
yes.
be fair.
But I am very excited because this time next week I will be at my first TXT concert.
I'm so jelly.
It's gonna be so fun.
I really
so
wish.
excited.
But I'm excited for what merch you bring back for me. Because I trust you with my life on that type of things. So you make really good decisions on that front. And so I cannot wait to see you guys' fits, all the videos, and to talk about it when you come back. Because I've seen a lot of clips because obviously they've been so I'm excited to talk about your experience and obviously what your thoughts are, especially about like specific moments that I know are gonna happen. And so
Yeah.
I'm ready to know how many times you're gonna faint/die during that concert.
I think Len is gonna keep a tally or a score.
I'm gonna like especially ask her and Kat to make sure that you guys keep a tab on one another to see how many times.
God, it's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize in advance for how those videos will turn out.
Listen, it can't be worse than the Max video.
Yeah.
I bring it up every time I can.
God, so that video is so funny. It's so funny. What can I say?
But anyway. So as you guys are probably expecting, today is going to be our breakdown of RM's new album, Right Place, Wrong Person.
Yes.
So last Sunday we did our reaction for Law. So if you haven't seen that already, the link is going to be somewhere. And if it's not appearing on the screen, it will be in the description.
For sure.
So make sure to go check that out. And you can also look forward, might as well say now. Next Sunday, you're gonna get our reaction to both the MV for Groin and the live video for Nuts. You're getting a 2-for-1, a double whammy, however you want to call it. But yeah, you're getting reaction central from us, and honestly, we're here for it because we love making them.
I'm living for it.
I mean, it's also like it's just really fun for the two of us to just like get together and react to them together.
Yeah.
Brings me back to when we reacted to B.
Oh my
together.
God, yeah. Yeah.
B was
love that album.
We cried together and we hadn't known each other for that long at that point, so we're just like
trauma bonded. It's kind of what that is, to be honest.
Listen, it was effective.
It works every time, every single time.
And every time we bring it up, it's funny every time looking back on it.
100%, 100%. It's so funny every time. I swear to God.
But yeah, let's get into it. Let's go track by track, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Track numero uno. Right people, wrong place. Thoughts?
Oh boy. It's such an interesting opener for the album, especially because
not what I was expecting as the opener.
No, me neither. And it's interesting that like even the title, to have the opposite of what the album has, I feel like it's really an interesting story from like start to finish from this album, because it really gives like this album is filled with a lot of like anger and a lot of like almost
realization and like, resentment,
realization
absolutely.
of stuff of like, and also like just like the loss of going from your 20s to 30s and how that affects your perspective on stuff, especially like starting off with right people wrong place of like this like I I'm perfectly fine and content and I'm good where I am, and then it's like this deconstruction the further we go into this album.
Yeah, for me, it's like very much is like, oh, I'm in this space right now. That's where you start with that track. And then
Yeah.
as you go further along, it gives you and brings you to that conclusion of the name of the album.
Yeah.
That's very much like the feeling I was getting.
Yeah.
And we all know how like Namjoon doesn't beat around the bush.
No, he does not mince words
He does not.
whatsoever. He definitely is very direct in what he's
That's why like
saying.
3/4 of that album is labeled explicit. Also, I might
Yep.
just add.
Yep, it's definitely explicit. I think like this is
There's only 4 tracks
definitely
that are not labeled explicit out of
yeah.
11.
Out of, that's a lot of explicit out of, a 16 track album here.
So I'm just like,
But
it is what it is.
I love I kind of love it because it kind of sets you up. Like the first
Oh,
song kind of sets you up in this like, okay, so we're like vibing. We're like in this like era. It's all gonna be fine. And then it just is not later at all.
yeah, now that I just realized the second track.
I know, right? Starts off one way.
And then you go directly into Nuts.
I love Nuts. I love it.
I love it too, but now it makes so much sense.
It makes so much sense because that song kind of starts off where Right People, Wrong Place sort of like ends, and it starts off at the start of that where it's,
Yeah.
very much like we're vibing, we're in this thing,
Oh,
and then
and Nuts lyric screams betrayal.
yeah, like a lot. I'm like, who hurt you, Kim Namjoon? Who? Who?
We said the same thing with JK's album.
Yeah.
Just saying. I was like,
That is
who the
true. Who
fuck?
hurt you? Who hurt you? It's also very interesting because all of these tracks have the same like sort of style and vibe to them. Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
album sort of connects to I feel like this might be a weird thing, but I feel like the album is sort of like a giant like run-on sentence. It's like all of your
Oh
thoughts that
yeah.
are up here and you're just like you dump it out on a piece of paper without like editing it. You're just like expressing your
Yeah, it
raw
feels like
emotions.
there's no structure. There is structure, but it's like there's no like necessarily like structure because you are dumping all of this on paper. There's like
Yeah.
missing punctuation
And they all just
and
like
like
connect together. Like it's like you just go from one to the other. You're just like, here are my thoughts, here are my thoughts, here are my thoughts. And to go from like Nuts, which is sort of like a deconstruction of itself, like at the end, into Out of Love, where you're just like, okay, um, sure. And you know what? I don't think necessarily that this is about a relationship. I think it's about a relationship between like Namjoon and himself of
oh yeah,
falling out of
absolutely.
love like with himself and not understanding who he is as a person and not accepting himself, and I think that's really explicitly said like during the Jimin and Namjoon like album listen party. I think that's pretty an explicit thing, like Jimin even saying during that time like Junie was like locking himself away and not talking to any of the members, and they were
And
worried
I
that
mean, just like looking back at the visual in the Lost music video,
yeah,
with him being like represented by like him and like 4 other people,
yeah, yeah,
it very much makes a lot of sense. And I think we mentioned it whenever we reacted to Lost as well. It's just
yeah,
like this is very much him trying to come to terms with who he is and having a hard time doing so.
yeah. Which
Just on that
I
visualization.
yeah, like I relate to that wholeheartedly because my 20s I was such a different person than I am now in my 30s, and I think you kind of just have to, there's like one of two ways that you uh, approach this direction. Either you accept fully who you are and you embrace that side of you, or you change drastically, or there's like a middle ground where you find that you can like accept yourself for where you are and who you are, but you're also
Yeah.
trying to improve and
Or
change.
compromise with yourself.
Yeah, you're trying to like
Yeah.
find a compromise and a middle ground between those two ideas that are like floating around in your
Yeah,
brain.
and it's not a bad thing being lost. It's just like
No.
everybody's got some work to do on themselves. Like nobody is gonna be like
Yeah.
their best self all the time.
And I think he's got like he's got some really good points in this album of like I am just an artist and I can't be like even though I'm like the leader of this giant, and he said it in the interview as well. It's like
It's like I'm a normal ass person at the
I'm a
end of the
normal
day.
person at the end of the day, and I know that and Jimin, you know, mentioned how much pressure he has as the leader of BTS because he's really the voice box of BTS at the end of the day. But I think we put a lot of like pressure on
Sorry.
him to like say the right things and do the right
Yeah.
things. And at the end of the day, he's a person and people make mistakes
But
inherently
he's had that pressure for so long at
for
this point
so
too.
long. And I feel like we need to allow him to have a certain level of grace to be like, I am just a person who makes mistakes and I'm still trying to figure out a lot of
Yeah.
things about life and I'm not a perfect person because none of us are perfect.
Yeah, it's like
And
so
that
much responsibilities from such a young
yeah,
age too. And it's like give like as you said, like give him some grace, like give him some
yeah.
slack. It's just like give him a chance to realize himself as a person.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think like he said this and I'm really glad because by the end he's like F all the haters. I don't care. I'm just going to be myself and I'm going to be the person that I want to be, even if that means that I make mistakes. And I think
Hmm.
embracing the mistakes just as much as you embrace the change is like a really huge growth moment,
Absolutely.
you know?
And thinking about the fact, I know I'm jumping a little bit ahead here, but having Come
Yeah.
Back to Me being that
The,
final
yeah.
song is I'm thinking about how we interpreted before the album came out,
Yeah.
and now it's very giving a telling himself and like his younger self, like, come back,
Come
like
back.
we'll grow together, we'll
Yeah.
get this together, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of like the message that I'm getting from this, especially knowing the order and everything and
Yeah.
from that album. And it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like a
Oh,
lot of sense.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Um, Domodachi with Lil Sims. Thoughts?
Such an again like a very interesting song. Like I feel like all of these songs sort of like musically they don't sound the same. I'm not going to say that they all like sound the same,
But they have a similar vibe.
but they have a similar vibe in the way that he's telling the story. Like I find a lot of these songs, the instrumentation is very like simple, the chord progression is very simple,
Hmm.
but the lyrics are the engine that's sort of driving this machine forward.
And this is very much a Junie thing, I feel like.
Yeah, like he definitely does this in a lot of his songs. And it's not to say that the instrumentation is like boring or not
No,
like used in a way that's like interesting.
it's not as
Um
common though, I feel
no.
like.
No. But I like this song. I feel like it's very again like very vibey. It's very
I mean, it was my song of the week until we listened to Gorn,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. It's interesting because of the song that comes after it. I feel damn it BTS with your interludes. I swear to God.
Okay, but why are they always so confused in their albums?
There's I don't know.
The rap line in like almost every single one of
Yeah.
their albums, they have like something that has a question mark or like a
Yeah.
what or like Hobie with what if and then
True.
like in BTS and then
Yeah. It's interesting. I kind of agree with that. I think interludes are interesting because it's kind of this like um this we're having a turning point at the interlude because usually it's halfway through the album. We've
Mhm.
sort of, you know, like said the thesis at the beginning of the album, and the interlude is either going to agree with the beginning of the album or it's going to disagree, and we're going to get a totally different set of thoughts and process throughout. that's usually how, at least I see it in the grand scheme of like BTS albums. Even their like main
Ugh,
albums have
I
this
swear.
similar thing where it's like it's either gonna be a WTF, I don't know where we're going, or it's going to be like, okay, so we're agreeing with the thesis that we already said during the beginning of the album. Okay, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one or the
And,
other. Because the
and
next song that comes after this goddamn interlude is Groin.
is 100% my favorite song on this album.
I love Groin. It's so good. It's so good.
And also, we found out today that this is a word as a native French speaker that is very hard for me to pronounce. But you get me. You know what
I
I'm
get it.
talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
I'm not going to repeat it. I've said it enough already.
You did. You did in our reaction video. You definitely said it a lot.
But yeah, make sure to tune in on Sunday because
Yeah.
we had a blast reacting to this
So much
music
fun.
video. The song is so fun.
Yeah.
The again, like that song, especially the music video and the song itself, just bringing a lot of nostalgia back. And
Definitely.
the lyrics are on point. It's
Yeah.
very much like fuck you, fuck everything,
Yeah.
and fuck the haters.
Fuck them haters. Who cares?
This is a mature podcast. Thank you very much.
Sorry, not sorry about it. Heaven.
Listen,
I love this song.
I fucking love this song as well. Oh, I'm
What
sorry. I'm just, where were you today?
what a great break in this album, sort of like really hardcore. I don't want to say hardcore, but it's like the more like harder sort of angry tone of this album. We get this like reprieve from those kind of vibes, and we get into Heaven, which is not one of the explicit tracks on this album.
Yeah, somehow.
Somehow
I mean, it makes sense, but
it makes sense.
somehow.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But it's genuinely like I love Heaven. It's so like light and airy, and his voice is just
Oh
like
yeah, before we started
butter.
recording, because we recorded the reaction before recording the episode, and I was like, Jess, you stole my song again.
What can I say?
So we're very much of the same. Jess and I have like very similar taste in music.
True.
First and foremost, even like without like BTS and all of that, we have like very similar taste in music.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that we were battling for this song.
I know, right?
It happens almost every week.
It really does. Yeah, it's kind of a toss up between who's gonna get.
And a lot of the time
the
you're
song
like,
of the
oh,
week.
listen to this song, you're gonna love it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I do. And then I'm like, listen to this song, you're gonna love it. And you're like, oh yeah, I do.
It's great. So yeah,
It is what it is. And then
it is
we're
what it is.
going to Lost.
I love the progression from Heaven to Lost, because I feel like Lost is like a more like fast-paced beat of what
Yes.
Heaven is. Like it definitely like, you know, brings us like right back into the album where we're like, okay, we're back. Let's go.
Oh, we had like a non-explicit interlude. We're back.
We're
Lost.
back. Let's go. Get it. Yeah, Lost is a really fun song. There's a lot of really fun instrumentation in that song, and the lyrics are really punchy in comparison to what the like instrumentation is doing in the background. And I love that. TXT does that all the freaking time, and I love it. Because I'm like, it makes you want to like dig deeper into what the lyrics are, rather than just like listening to the instrumentation
Yes, absolutely.
and how the like song is presented as a whole.
Yeah, it does bring the lyrics more on the forefront than just like the beeps and boops, you know?
Yeah, just like beeps and boops, just chilling.
Beeps and boops.
Beeps and boops.
Around the World in a Day with Moses Sumney.
This is really interesting. Around the World in a Day. What a concept. I'm like, what world are we talking about? So
Obviously ARMY, you know?
True. Yeah, it kind of does feel like in that song he's like addressing us, like ARMY particularly. again, it's this thing of like I respect you as a fandom, but I also need that same respect
Yeah.
back. And I think like his one of his last lives, he definitely like addressed that in like a comment. He was like, "Guys, I'm just a singer. Like
Yeah.
that's it. I'm not like I'm not like an all-seeing
Oh yeah.
person who like
The
knows
some,
everything."
like, nothing against like those types of people, but ultimately BTS are not, they're not a saint. They're not the
No,
almighty savior of the world.
they're just people
They're just people.
like you and
Yes,
I.
like we've shared our BTS origin stories. They have like saved us, that's the word I'm gonna say, in a lot of ways, but they are not almighty saviors, like came from the universe, you know. They're ultimately just people.
Yeah, they're just people.
And I have a feeling that in a lot of ways, I mean, even in his life, it's just like there's gotta be like a mutual respect.
Yeah, because I think our like parasocial relationship between Army and BTS is very much blurred a lot of the
It's
time.
threading on a thin line a
It's a
lot of
very, yeah,
time.
like there's a very thin line between, but I think the thing that holds us all together is the mutual respect that we have for each other. And I think sometimes that line gets crossed where we don't respect the artist for being the artist.
Hmm.
Um it's tricky when you have also too just such a diversity within the fan base, like with age
Absolutely.
and experience. And I think
Age,
sometimes,
experience, culture.
yeah, like all of that stuff kind of has a hand in how you view the world. And we only like BTS only have one perspective, which is their perspective.
Hmm.
And that can only be interpreted by the artists themselves. And a lot of the time we do put a lot of like pressure on them.
I mean,
Like,
ultimately, there is a lot of us for them
yeah,
to be responsible for.
yeah, and like, we put a lot of pressure on them, not like directly or like on purpose or in
Yeah,
malice, you know,
yeah,
it's not in like a harmful, it's not intended to be in a harmful
yeah, it's
way,
not
but
done like knowingly a
yeah,
lot of
it's
the
not done
time.
with like malicious intent. It's just like that's just the pressure that you have as an artist when you have such a large fan base like Army is. Um, and I think Junie, by saying like, look, I am just one person. I am somebody who makes mistakes and
Hmm.
I can only learn and go forward from them. I can't like go back and change them, and
Yeah,
I can't change your mind of whether you like me or not. That's just up to your own
it's like this is
interpretation.
just me as I am.
Yeah, and it's either you accept that or you don't, and you live with that choice, I guess.
Hmm.
And I kind of applaud him for that, just being like,
Oh yeah,
look, if you don't like me, that's fine, and I'm okay with that.
it's like you don't need to like me, but at least
Respect
give me,
me.
yeah, a
Yeah.
level of respect.
Yeah.
That I'm also like extending to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Wow, we went a lot deeper on that one
We
than I
did go
thought
a
we
lot
would.
deeper. But you know what? I think like he has said as much, and I think like
And
if
he's been
you
saying about it like for a long
for a
time
long
too.
time, yeah, and I think like Indigo was kind of the first like inclination of that, like especially with Change and like a couple of the songs from Indigo, and then this one is very much like I don't want to deal with
Yeah.
that anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's either you like me, respect me, enjoy my music, enjoy BTS, or you don't. And I don't care
Yeah.
either way.
It's like ultimately it's like I gotta applaud him and the rest of BTS to not have I'm gonna put it that way, crumbled under the pressure of having such a big
Yeah,
fandom like some other artists have in the
for
past.
sure, for sure.
Not to name anyone because that's not what we're here for,
Mm-mm.
but it has been seen and it's like um pretty admirable in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think
That they were able, like, they've got each other's back.
Yeah.
And so I feel like all 7 of them being together is just kind of like pushing each other up also helped a lot in that instance. And I do love that now Junie is like very comfortable in being like, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
At least give me like an ounce of respect.
Yeah.
For me being myself.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
do
it.
you, boo.
Yeah, like you live your life and I'll live mine, and whether you are a part of it or not doesn't really affect me as an artist. Like,
yeah,
it is what it is. And I think like ARMY, you know, we overall are very good at respecting BTS for their music specifically and allowing them to like experiment and to like change and to grow, because ultimately like that's what I would want if I was like an artist, is my audience to
I
respect
feel like
me
we're
enough.
really good with boundaries.
Yeah,
like as a whole, generally pretty good with boundaries.
And also too, just like respecting me enough to allow me to experiment and change and grow as a person. And even if that means musically I change, still allowing that change to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important for them too.
Okay. I was wondering what that was. I was like, there's something on my screen. It's the weather.
Credit roll with like the like text crying emojis that we used to use.
Or if you go full Hangul, it's you.
What a like an interesting credit roll before the credits, realistically.
Yeah, but I like that Come Back to Me is the last one. Even though
too.
Critical had like comes before it. It's giving Marvel in all way, you know, you got the credits and then you got the extra.
Yeah. I agree. Like it, even though it's like a minute and 14 seconds long, I feel like it's such a great outro from Around the World in a Day. It really just like it's such a nice summary to the album, and then we get Come Back to Me. What a cutie. I feel like Come Back to Me, honestly, is like the farewell song that we never got. You know, like Hobie gave us like On the Street. Jin gave us Astronaut.
Yep.
So I feel like Come Back to Me is that song of like
it's looking 6.5 minutes long. I fucking hope so.
I hope so. What a goodbye song.
It was like, I'm not done, please. Let me make this 2 songs length.
But like what I really like too is during the like interview, because I know we've been talking about it a lot like during the album here, because I think it's important to bring up this interview, because he does like say a lot of stuff that's already in the album. And I think, you know, they are excited to come back in this like new era of BTS with chapter 3. And I love them saying like we're gonna mix up the like, you know, like artists stuff, and we're gonna mix up the groups, and we're gonna like try all these new things. And I'm like very much looking forward.
I need more Moni music. Like
Me
when
too.
they come back, like they need to like do a listening party for like everybody's album.
I agree. I love the
and then do it for like BTS's albums and everything. That'd be great. Like bring Sushitel back, bring Moni music back.
Let's go. I honestly really hope that they like try all like experiment with a bunch of like different things and different music, and I can't wait to see what chapter 3 is, because I know it's gonna be like nuts, but like in the best way possible, because we're gonna be getting like the raw uninterrupted BTS that we've been missing for the past like 2-3 years.
Look at it this way. We're not done with chapter 2 either, because Jin is out in 2 weeks. 14 days as of recording
14 days. Jin will be back, and I'm sure he'll want to like do some music, and we'll see what comes out of that man. I don't know. I'm scared, bro.
I'm scared, bro.
I'm scared.
But okay, just one funny thing I want to mention about Jimin and Junie's
Yeah.
video.
Go.
Get this man a shoe rack.
Oh my god, why are his shoes everywhere?
It's like
Sir!
whenever we saw like a first video of his house, it was just like 2 lines, and now it's taking over his entire entranceway.
He's got
Get this
so
man a shoe rack.
like
The Jimin was barely able to come in.
he was tripping. Like, sir, can we get this man a shoe rack? Like, I will buy you one. Sweetie, let me organize your shoes.
I was like, you can still have them displayed, but not taking your entire entranceway. There are other ways.
Good lord. Oh god.
Yeah, my brain could not.
No. I also love how Jimin brought like a lot of food. It's so incredibly
That's
cute.
very Jimin, to be fair.
It's
Jimin is like,
super
I need to make
Jimin.
sure everybody's fed
Yeah.
and
It was so like it was so heartbreaking to like see that, you know, like Junie's going through something and they can't help him in that way, and they were so worried that he was gonna like leave them or like not come back to them, and Jimin just being like, he'll come back, we just need to wait. And
yeah.
he did, and eventually they were able to like talk.
Yeah, he was like he needed his time, and that Jimin is he's
He's
got a
very
lot of fate.
he's very in tune with the
Yeah,
members.
very
He
in tune,
knows.
very like he knows how loyal everybody is
Hmm.
to all of them.
Well, and Junie, like of all the members, is
Yeah.
super like introspective. Like he definitely goes into like a shell, and
He's very introverted. I mean, we've
yeah,
mentioned that. And so it's just how, from what we've seen and heard, how he deals with stuff.
yeah. I
And
mean,
it's pretty common.
yeah, it's super common to
It's
like
it's it can be worrying from the outside looking in.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it's a lot more common than a lot of people think.
Yeah,
It's just
100%.
you need to trust that person that they have to go through what they need to go
Yeah,
through, and then they'll come back, you
they'll come
know?
back. You just need to trust that, like, you
Yeah,
need to trust them to solve whatever issue and know that, like, as long as they know that you're there when they're ready to have that conversation,
exactly.
they'll come
It
back.
makes a world of difference.
It does. I mean, I would say I'm very much like Junie in that way, where like I don't necessarily need to talk about like an incident right when it happens, because I'm still trying to process the things that,
Yeah.
like, I need to take some time to like think about everything that had happened and like come to my own conclusion without
I'm like that a lot too.
talking
I've
it
had
out.
people that's like, "Oh, I haven't heard from you in like weeks." I'm like, "Yeah, I've been going through this, and this." They're
Yeah.
like, what the hell? Why didn't you like reach out?" I'm like, "Well, I needed to think about it and
Yeah.
process what
And
was going through, and
it
then a
it's
lot of time I just want to deal with it by myself." It's
yeah.
like,
It's hard to like I and we said this already, like with him being the leader and how much pressure that is to be a leader of such a mega group like BTS.
yeah,
And sometimes like he can't go to the members because they can't help him with those things.
yeah,
Like they can't, I like, unfortunately they can't take that load. But Jimin saying like
yeah,
he was the only leader of BTS is like, yeah, really,
true.
like Junie
Yeah,
is the only leader of BTS.
and I
He was the
mean,
only one that could be.
true. In a lot of ways, it's like it's a good thing, but in a lot of ways, it does add to that pressure.
Yeah,
But like I said earlier, I feel like from outside looking in, obviously because we don't know all the intricacies and
of course.
like everything, but he seems to be doing
Much better.
much better and pretty well in his.
Yeah, and like with
um,
Junie, I find the way that he deals with stuff is through music. Like that is his outlet to sort of get all of his feelings out
Yeah.
and to like process through emotions that have sort of happened.
Hmm.
Music is his way to do that. Um And we've seen it like time and time again.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he's not a prolific like music composer and writer and everything, producer for
yeah,
no
he ain't
reason.
that for nothing, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
like but all in all, once again, amazing album
Yeah,
from our president, Kim
yeah.
Namjoon.
He definitely
Very
pulled all the stops for this
it's
one.
it's bringing a lot of, as we said, like nostalgia, a lot of it's bringing introspect to like look within ourselves by him like showing how he's done it with himself, I
Hmm.
feel like. And I mean,
Super different from
as usual,
Indigo,
it's
but
like I cannot wait for what's in store
next.
next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
In
like
general, from like him by himself or like the group or like any of the
100%.
members. I was like,
100%.
it's always such a pleasure. And I mean, I'm pretty sure you will most likely be of the same opinion that I am, but I feel privileged every single time
Oh
that they
yeah.
like come out with new stuff.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Um, it's definitely, I feel so honored that they are always willing to share their perspective and their
Emotions,
emotion and
their stories ultimately.
yeah, like their humanity to us all the time. It's such a gift that they give us.
Yeah.
Even when they're not like physically present to give it to us, it still feels like a gift that we get.
So freaking thoughtful. My
So
heart
thoughtful.
can't handle
I know. Like, ah,
it.
ah.
All right. Before we all start crying,
Yes.
shall we go to songs of the week?
Let's do it.
So as a whole, for the both of us, we obviously have lost since we reacted to it last Sunday.
Yes.
But Jess, otherwise, what are your songs this week?
BTS song is Coffee. I feel like it's a perfect addition to my right place wrong person choice, which is Heaven. I feel like those songs really like mash well together. Like I imagine like sitting in like a coffee shop and just like
Oh
listening to
yeah,
those songs, you
yep,
know?
nope, I see it. I
Yeah,
absolutely see it.
it's a vibe.
Uh, I mean, you'll see mine also kind of has a link a bit in like the vibiness of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So my BTS song is Groin.
Yeah,
I think I said it correctly this time,
you
by
did.
Junie. And my non-BTS song is Lock on Lock, by Hobie with Benny Blanco and Nile Rodgers. I feel like
Yeah. They really like damn that nostalgia vibe. Hobie and Junie, like what was going on, man? You guys were like in that like 2000 like late
oh
90s
yeah, it was
2000.
like bring me back to like early when like started listening to music, you know?
Especially like early like R&B and like rap is very much that like vibey like groovy sort of sound that's like
Listen,
taken.
don't get me started with like early rap that I listen to because French rap, especially from Quebec, a lot of the time is not very good.
It's a choice. It's a
Thankfully, I
choice.
was not that much into rap. I was more into like pop rock,
Yeah.
metal a little bit. Um, but yeah, that
Yeah.
that's just my opinion, okay? Some people really like French rap. I do not. French hip hop is a choice.
And it's not my choice.
It is not mine. Sometimes when I want a good laugh, I go what I'm not gonna name any artists because none are like coming to mind right
Yeah.
now. But like I go listen to like old French like rap or hip hop. The music videos are also like hilarious. It's giving like
Yeah.
Gorn but on freaking steroids.
Yeah. Yeah. Canadian music is a choice.
French Canadian rap is not it. Sorry.
Yeah. You know what it is I feel like Canada musically anyway is very much stuck in the 2000s. Like we haven't
If it's not like a genre that's been like I'm not gonna say overdone because like
yeah.
even like older stuff been done now is still like sometimes really good.
Yeah.
But Canada is very much more known for like more folklore music, which is not something that is very much spread out to the masses.
No,
So
no.
like if you just look in Quebec, like Cowboy Fringant is very much like folklore music. What's the name of the fucking group? Give me a moment.
I don't know.
It's been a hot minute, okay?
Alberta's very much like cowboys, so I feel like country sort of
Yeah.
dominates a lot of Alberta like music.
Mes Aïeux, that's the one that I was thinking. It was like basically their name translated like roughly is like my ancestors.
Oh,
So basically,
God. It's a
so
lot.
it's like very much like folklore. It's very good, don't get me wrong, but it's very niche.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
So
that.
I'm just like,
You know,
you know,
I don't know. You name some Canadian artists down below. Name some. I dare you to.
Try to go for something that's niche, because if you
Yeah.
go like Justin Bieber and Avril Lavigne, it's like we know those. Also Drake, we know those.
We know those.
Those are mainstream.
Yeah. Don't give me a mainstream Canadian artist.
Give us something
me
that's like less, or
Yeah.
even like if you're from different countries that are not the United States, give us some like local
popular,
artists.
like popular artists that are like around.
From
And
I
we'll
would love to like look into that. That'd be really fun.
we'll take a listen to them.
All right.
But let us know your thoughts on Right Place, Wrong Person. Like, what did you think of the album? Do you have a favorite song? What is your like take on this masterpiece that we have been given by Junie? Let us know.
I was like, there you go.
Thank you.
But yeah, as usual, we have a new podcast every Thursday, except next week we're not gonna be there because Jess is gonna go party.
I'm going to Chicago.
And then in 2 weeks we'll talk about TXT and the concerts and everything like that. So not next week, but in 2 weeks. But normally we do have a podcast episode coming out every Thursday and a new clip coming out every Sunday at 3 p.m. EST. You can also listen to us on the go, basically on any app where you would listen to your podcasts on the go. You can also find us on our social medias at Army Think Tank or at Army Think Tank Podcast. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. On that note, have a good week. And tune in on Sunday for a reaction of Groin and Nuts. But otherwise, see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.